a special iftar show. We are joined here by Minhaj. As you know, as all the listeners know, that on this day we have a special iftar show that's been dedicated to Minhaj Welfare Foundation. And you are seeing now Brother Adnan Sohail on the screen. We're not here to fundraise, by the way, today. We're here to just educate you about Minhaj Welfare Foundation. Last week, we had Brother Awas Anwar, who was here, who was talking about his experiences, his journey, how he joined Minhaj Welfare Foundation, how he had a passion for doing charity work, and his progression from doing the different activities, the different projects, the different appeals, and so on, that Brother Awas has, managed to pull off. So alhamdulillah, we had him last week, which was, unbelievable. And it was really good to get to know him on that level. A lot of the people that are actually listening in who have dealt with the Awas, who know that, the poor guy is running around everywhere. But at the same time, it was good to hear from himself, to see his journey, to see, his calmness in trying to deliver the projects. You got to give it to him. You got to give it to him. So guys who want to get involved right now, this is Revive FM 94.0. If you guys want to get involved on our social media streams, please go onto the Facebook page, on the YouTube page. Any questions, any comments, anything about Ramadan, anything what you're feeling, please just put the message up there. We will definitely, inshallah, read them out and interact with you guys as well. Now, as I've mentioned, today, mashallah, we are joined by none other than the Director of Operations of Minhaj Welfare Foundation, Brother Adnan, or shall I say Sheikh Adnan Sohail. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam, bro. How are you doing?
I'm good, alhamdulillah. How's things with you? How's Ramadan going? You sound a bit tired, man. I thought, you'd be full of energy. What's going on?
I thought myself I'll be full of energy, but it's a weird day, unfortunately. We've had a long Ramadan. It's like, what, midway now?
Yeah, midway. Can you believe? You're making sound like it's, 30 days already gone by. Like it's been that long, man.
It feels like it, to be honest. That's the blessing of this month, You start Ramadan,
yeah.
And then as you kind of move along with Ramadan, it's like almost it's Laylatul Qadr, and then all of a sudden we Eid al-Fitr, and I say Ramadan is going, the blessings of this month have gone, and then you realize, oh my Lord, what's happening here?
Yeah. Always this year, myself personally, obviously, it's important that we work-wise, all that, the balance of managing all that during the month of Ramadan, it's a challenge a little bit in itself. But this year, it's just been a bit more focus of, that time after suhoor where it's quiet, everyone's going to sleep now. And you're just like, okay, what do I do now, right now? And you still don't feel, because you've ate so much on suhoor, you're like, okay, I need to get this down. So what do I do? So that time, you're watching lectures, or I think I'm making more time this year just for that moment of half an hour, 40 minutes.
Timing has improved in the sense that, look, you've got a good break after Iftar. You've got time to settle down, and then you've got Taraweeh. And then after Taraweeh, it kind of finishes at a good time. Not too late.
Yes.
11 o'clock is a good time.
Perfect.
People generally sleep at 1 o'clock, midnight anyway, so it's all right. And then you get about 4 or 5 hours sleep if you want to sleep after Taraweeh. You wake up for Suhoor. Suhoor, Fajr, and then there's that period where you've got an opportunity to sleep for 1 hour or 2 hours, get up for work. So it's not bad. You kind of are in the same old routine that you would be prior to Ramadan.
It's not that bad. Yeah, it's not that bad. I think it's just about waking up so early and obviously trying to eat something. I think that's what's getting people, and they're acclimatizing to that. Obviously, mashallah, you hear people who are eating, considerable amounts of food at that time. You've got to give it to them as well.
I don't know how to do it. I think for us in the morning, a bowl of cereal is just about enough, to be honest. It's and everybody's appetizing.
Since we're coming up to close to Iftar, people are getting ready for Iftar now. And this is one of my tradition I do with guests that come on, is to ask what kind of suhoor and Iftar does a person do. So let's ask the Director of Operations of MWF. What does he do, considering person is out on travels most of the time, doing appeals, throughout the month of Ramadan, different projects, different events, so on that you're doing, different shows. What is this typical suhoor Iftar for Adnan?
I'm the worst when it comes to food. Yeah. I'm not a foodie in the sense of, I'm really picky with food. For me, if anything I can get hold of, I'll eat, basically, in the sense.
Okay.
But generally in the morning time, and it's kind of weird.
Yeah.
I'll have this craving to have the full-on English breakfast.
Oh yeah.
But it never happens.
At suhoor time.
Yeah, it never happens.
Okay. Oh, it never happens.
Yeah, like the eggs, the beans,
the
mushrooms, and the hash browns. Probably in my life, it's only happened at two to 3 times.
At Iftar time, yeah.
But it's just general cornflakes or Cocoa Pops to me.
Cocoa Pops.
I'm sorry. The child within me has spoken out.
Yeah, fair enough. Okay. All right, iftar then.
Iftar?
What are we talking about iftar? We're getting
full to be honest, for iftar, I would...
Depends what mood you're in. Is it
I would, for iftar, I would generally prefer fruits and dates, to be honest. Straight away,
How can you try and be all... You're trying to be all like...
I'm being
showing
serious.
off now. Come on, man.
I'm being serious.
You're being serious, okay.
Straight after iftar, I cannot... If food was there, I'll eat it, yeah? That's how kind of guy I am.
Okay, so you left it there. If Smosy Pakore there, you're on it.
I'm on it, bro. This Pakore, they're not staying there, I told you.
Okay, fair enough.
I can't have anything major after iftar. I don't know, there's something by iftar time, when the first day you consume, I think the energy or the rush that you get within your body, you wouldn't have anything else. And that's why I think anything major to have, and to be honest, I think probably I've only had one dawat in Ramadan this time.
Yeah, you know what? I mean, for me, it's quite blessed because the days I'm not here in the radio or obviously with you guys, I usually just spend it with my mum. And obviously, I've got her educated about fitness. You know, she understands that the iftar should be solid on point. So yeah, it's quite a healthy iftar every day, which is nice. I don't know what's going to plan today, but yeah.
Most of my iftar, to be honest, now is being spent at the mosque. So they did quite some good iftars at the mosque.
Yeah,
there's some nice pakoras, there's some nice salons and roti. The roti in Minhaj London is quite unique. That's another tale itself.
That's another topic in itself. Let's leave it. Let's move on now. Okay, guys, whoever's listening in right now will know, obviously, Brother Adnan Sohail or Sheikh Adnan Sohail, however you want to refer him to. One of the things with Adnan Sohail is that anyone, and I want to say this to you on air, I was always thinking about this, is one of the positives about yourself is that whoever liaises with you, whether it's through a project, whether it's through a purpose, a donation, whatever, you're waiting for this, you make them feel very sort of special. It's a way like whenever whoever deals with Adnan Sohail, and I'm sure all the listeners will relate, they'll feel like, wow, yard, he's such a good friend. You know, he's such a good person. Liaising with him makes you feel like, you know, he's made you feel special. Maybe it's his way of getting money out of us. We don't know, or work out of us. But liaising with him has always felt, you know, the guy makes you feel special, and he gives you that time. And I think everyone has this feedback to the point that if he's being approached and delivering, I don't know if I should have said this or there, but it's in public and it happens. When you are delivering fundraisers at women-only events, surely the trust factor's there that what people have with Adnan, that, you know what, they are attracted to him. So Adnan, obviously people do feel that with you, but let's get to know Adnan a little bit more, and let's try to find out his journey into Minhaj Welfare Foundation, because most of us who have either been part of Minhaj Welfare, who have joined Minhaj Welfare, have always seen Adnan. He's technically the poster boy. That's what I call him. He's the poster boy of Minhaj. His faces everywhere, his videos, the clips, and so on. Eats, sleeps, and drinks Minhaj Welfare Foundation. So Adnan, talk to us. That journey of when, let's say your early life, where you were studying, what you was doing, and then when was it that journey into Minhaj Welfare Foundation?
The journey for me into...
I know it's going to be a long story, so don't, bear in mind.
The journey for me to Minhaj started in 2000, just prior to 2000, before the Iraq war and Afghanistan war. I had studied in the local Minhaj Center in Nelson. Nelson is a small town in Lancashire, for those who are unfamiliar with the name. It's a very popular town now, because obviously there's some very popular people from that town. So I studied there at the age of 12 or 13. I left the mosque and I kind of took a different career in my life in terms of moving away from faith. I wasn't that religious in the sense of going to the mosque and obviously being very lacking in prayer, wherever at a young age. So it was more about cricket, football. We'd play football all the way till like 2-3 o'clock in the morning in the summer periods.
Yeah, obviously up north lad, isn't it?
Yeah, up north lad. You've
got nothing to do about playing football, bro.
It was crazy because look, the environment back in those days, like doors would be open literally at 2-3 o'clock in the morning, and it was a very somber environment in the sense that you could go out and there would be no issues. Nowadays you find crime as its peak, and you're not safe going out. But at those times we were quite safe. We'd play football at 3 o'clock, and it would be like you are playing during the daytime. That's how exciting it was.
Mm.
So that was my life alongside other youth at that time.
That's up to school, entering college.
Yeah, no, before college.
Before college, okay.
13 is when I took a change in my own life, in the sense that, you know what, it's all right playing football and cricket, just chilling out. I didn't do anything crazy, okay? Let me just put on a record.
Just put on a record. All right, fair enough.
Yeah, I just about survived in that sense.
Football, cricket, yeah, that's normal.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
Especially in those early days, that's what it was about. You know, I even say myself, when we used to plan, 5 days, Monday to Friday school, we used to have 5-day test matches in school. So we're little kids, bro. I'm playing test matches. You know, you come in the morning, you have your first session. Lunchtime, lunch session, and then dinner before we left, just to get as much as we could get in. And you were doing 5-day test matches in school.
Exactly.
Crazy,
It's
crazy.
Those days were like different, but nowadays you look at this
21st
century that we're in right now.
Yeah.
Then I started to move away from sports, move away from the crowd. Crowd plays a big factor, I realize. You know, I think sometimes if I was to really look right now, your surroundings are really important. Your peers are very important. And I think in the beginning I chose the wrong peers, but then I kind of made that decision at a young age. I think sometimes in life you gotta think, what I'm doing right now is not right. I want to take that direction of doing something better in my life. And that's what it was basically. I think it was 13, 14.
Mashallah.
That was my turning point in my life.
Yeah.
13, 14. I literally, there was an uncle of ours, a family friend. He would go to the mosque and I would say to him, you know, uncle, knock on my door in the morning and I want to go mosque with you for Fajr. And that's it started.
So it just clicked. It just clicked.
It really just, it's weird. I think, I would call it divine intervention.
Of course, everyone has a moment.
There's a moment. And to be honest, there would be a process in my early stage of my life where naturally I would wake up half an hour before uncle would knock on the door.
You'd be ready.
Allah Jalla, granted paradise and everything. He was actually quite good. He was one of them guys that you find in your family members that wouldn't want any praise. And he was just one of them Allah Minhaj guy in the sense.
Yes.
Just pray and do his own things. So he would take me to the mosque. I would practice myself, and that would help me kind of get into the religious mode. Then I kind of through that used to get more attached to Minhaj. The activities. I think at the age of 14, in the year 2000, Minhaj Welfare Foundation established itself as a proper charity in Nelson. In 2014. In 2000.
2000. Yeah, I think 2014.
2000. I was 14 at the time.
Okay.
And then I became a volunteer. There was a chap called Shazad Shafi. He was blind. He's the one who started Minhaj Welfare Foundation officially. He was part of the Minhaj youth group, the MWF at that time. This guy was amazing. I've never seen anybody like him in the sense as an inspiration. He was blind. He wasn't blind at birth, but he grew in terms of his illness. I think there was some sort of issue that him and his elder sister had. But he had a master's degree in IT. So the guy was one of the most intelligent people I'd ever seen. And I will say this, that sometimes in life, you need somebody to look up to as an inspiration. And for me, he was an inspiration. And then this guy, he single-handedly ran a radio station. Can you imagine setting up a radio station back in those days where there's, and to be honest, it was just kind of strange where he would set up a mixer. There you would have the faders. He would know which fader to utilize. He would know which system to utilize. And it was amazing. So he set up this he set up officially MWF in 2001, 2000, and then we'd started to do some street collection. I remember the first ever campaign I did was for the Afghanistan war in 2000, 2001.
Wow, okay.
So we did street collection at the age of 14 and we raised about £40,000.
Wow.
That was in 2000. So that was my incoming into Minhaj through the charity Minhaj Welfare Foundation. Because it was an activity and we would be 14-year-old going around with a bucket and asking for people for donations, not for myself, for people in third world. And to be honest, at that time, you probably didn't realize the importance at that time.
You just had adrenaline. You had
adrenaline. Do something.
Yeah,
You'd hear these things on news that people are dying, and there's been so much catastrophe in Iraq, Afghanistan. We want to help our brothers, but there isn't that real understanding of the reason why you're doing it. Basically, it's just this adrenaline's kicked in, and that adrenaline kind of helped me out as well. So that was the starting point of my entrance into Minhaj Welfare Foundation, and from there on, it was just constantly doing more and more and wanting to do more and more. I don't think that kind of stopped. My desire to do more for Minhaj began there, and that increased day by day. I wanted to be in the forefront of the organization. I wanted to do more.
Even as a kid, you had that desire.
Yeah, even as
keep going up the ranks.
Well, I would. This was my peak GCSE period, so it's like I had my maths exam in the morning, and I would be up 4 o'clock in the morning, and I'd come home at 5 o'clock in the morning because we would spend all night putting leaflets into envelopes. Wow. And in those days, and even if you were to go to Nelson, we had like a small room, probably the space of the studio, slightly bigger. And we personally, about 5-6 of us, would have to pack 20 to 30,000 envelopes. And in those envelopes, we had to put like a return envelope, 2 or 3 leaflets about the organization, pack them up, seal them up, and put them into the Royal Mail postage bag. Now, in Royal Mail postage bags, I'm not sure if you're familiar with this.
Yeah, the big sacks.
The big sacks. Each area has its own coding, basically. So if you're from the northwest, and then with each sack, you got to have a different label, yellow label, where you just tie the knot and then you put them to one side. I've done all of that.
Wow.
I've done everything.
Sorting out envelopes and then sorting out their postcodes.
Everything. Okay. So those were my early.
I hope the youngsters are listening in right now, and we had the leaflets as well. During the Wembley conference, we gave out 200,000 leaflets. 200,000.
Just
here in London.
So, that was in 2011. So I started that in 2000, and then this is what I'm saying. So it was like you'll read Fajr, go home, nobody knows where you are. Parents are a bit worried. This guy's got a bit able. He's going to the charity somewhere else. And then you wake up in the morning, go to do your GCSE exam in mathematics. At that time,
walk in the park, past that.
Just about passed.
Okay, fair enough.
Just about passed.
Yeah.
I think the only thing I failed was my Spanish exam.
Oh yeah. Thanks a lot.
It was like yo se hablas español poco. It was like a little Spanish spoken. But in addition to that, I think that kind of gave me the push to kind of do something else after my exams GCSEs, and that was to go into the field of Islamic studies, basically. So after the age of 16, after doing my exams, I went into studying Islam, because when I started working for Minhaj Welfare Foundation, we had an American revert brother, not brother, I can't say brother, he's a teacher, Sheikh Imam Rabi Muhammad, an American imam, but this guy was like an American imam gangster type.
Okay.
One of them imam American
street
gangsters.
level. Yeah.
You could see him like a mile away. Yeah. The way he spoke, the way he talked, but his knowledge on the Arabic language and grammar was amazing. He studied in Syria for like 10 years.
Okay.
So I first kind of got acquainted to the Arabic language at the age of 14. So when I turned towards Islam, and when I became practicing, I also wanted to learn more about the religion. So at that time, he became imam at the local center in Nelson. So it was for me a bonus. We had this guy from America who I could understand and easily relate to, which is very important.
That's amazing. American imam turned up in Nelson.
All of a sudden American. And for us, that was amazing. And this is one thing that I probably think that a lot of youngsters probably lose out right nowadays. They don't have an imam which is relatable. We would talk about anything Muslim, and there's things that I can't mention in the radio session that we would ask the imam. I don't know, wicked man. We'd eat chicken and chips and talk to him about on the level, and he would talk about meeting Tupac Shakur and meeting. Who's Tupac? And telling us about the stories of the famous rappers in America, and that's kind of. It was kind of interesting for us because a lot of us grew up in that environment where we grew up listening to these guys. But then there was another perspective of this guy reverting to Islam and being a motivation for us as well. So he taught us. I was learning Arabic at the age of 14. I started to grammar at the age of 14, surf and now. So at that time, I was able to speak a bit of Arabic, just very small, and that kind of helped me go into studying Islam. Then I joined an institution in Nottingham, in Redford, called Jamil Karam, where I spent more than 3 years there.
3 years,
Yeah, three.
So college-wise, you did your A levels there?
Well, I kind of missed my A levels.
Okay.
So I did my GCSEs.
Yeah, straight to
Islamic studies.
Okay.
And that was, well, I can't call it equivalent to A levels, but that was kind of your high level education basically, because that gives you an entrance level to Al-Azhar University.
Okay. Yeah.
So I always wanted to study abroad, either in Syria or Egypt. Alhamdulillah, that time Syria wasn't crazy. This was before the war.
Oh, this was way back.
Way before the war as well. So I've always wanted to study at that time in Syria and Egypt. Syria more because of the sheikh who told me.
Okay.
But Egypt was another option. So I went to Al-Karam because I wanted to get interested into Egypt. So I studied in Al-Karam, got my 3 years done, and then graduated to go into Al-Azhar. And then I got into the bachelor's degree, the BA honors, and that was like a 3 to 4 year course.
Where was that? Where did you do
bachelor's? Al-Azhar in university.
Oh, you did bachelor's there?
Yeah, that's where we did our BA in Al-Azhar University. Al-Azhar is one of the most oldest universities in the world.
Correct.
So we had an option to go into the first year, but because we had a special affiliation with Al-Azhar University, I got into the second year. I had to take a special exam, and there's only a few of us that passed that exam. So from first year, I got in automatically into the second year. So instead of doing a 5-year course, I did a 4-year exam course in Al-Azhar University.
Wow,
so my department that I went into was the Department of Theology, and I specialized in the field of Hadith. So from 2000 and let me get this right, from 2002 to 2009, I spent about 8 years or so studying Islamic studies.
Okay,
Yes.
the bit here in Nottingham, and then obviously Al-Azhar as well.
Al-Azhar.
Yeah.
So you can say that 2002 to 2008, about 7 to 8 years, my time was dedicated to Islamic studies. So whilst I used to come home, I used to give some time to Minhaj Welfare
I was
Foundation.
just thinking then your
as a
time
volunteer.
probably is sort of decreased.
It decreased because at that time, more of my effort was for studying. And obviously, in Egypt, everything was in Arabic. So then I had to also memorize 8 paras of the Holy Quran. That was part of your studies.
Okay.
So Al-Azhar is a bit crazy like this.
Okay.
It's just one of the love for the Holy Quran.
Okay, fair enough.
You know, I can tell you some crazy stories. We would sit in a taxi, and the guy who would be a taxi driver would be like this great sheikh, but you can't tell is like
Just driving a cab. Yeah.
And then, but one thing about Egypt, I have to admit, is the love of the Quran. In the mornings, whenever you sit in the taxis, they'll have the Quran. When you go to the cafe and they shouting at one another, playing games, playing football, watching football. You'd always hear them throwing a Quranic verse as an argument. Even when you watch football in Egypt, when somebody used to score a goal, they used to be giving some Quranic verse as a reference.
To support their team.
Support the team. It's like somebody's scored a goal, and they'll be giving a reference from the Quranic verse. So it was a massive desire in terms of learning the Quran. And that's why one of the Al-Azhar's prerequisites of getting your bachelor's, your master's, either you do 8 juz of the Holy Quran or you do 15. And if you're doing a PhD, you have to have memorized the entire Quran.
Really?
Yeah. So
is that still to this day?
Till today. In our exams, so we used to have about 14 exams per term, per semester. So there was be like 14 different subjects that we used to have exams, and then the 15th subject would be your Quran oral and written exam, and then obviously sitting in front of a sheikh of great knowledge, and then he would say, okay, he'll read anywhere from the 8 paras and say, okay, kind of reading.
Okay.
And that was the most daunting ever task that one would have to go into to say in front of a sheikh. And those that would memorize the Quran, and for those who are quite habitual in understanding and learning the Quran. It's quite easy. You have something called sabak, sabki ya manzil. Yeah. Sabak is what you learn on the day. Sabki is what you learn the previous 2 pages. And manzil is what you learn in the previous, say for example, 10 pages. So for any hafiz out there who's leading Taraweeh, I respect you.
Yeah.
I do, whenever I have the opportunity to listen to Quran, sometimes I just love listening to Quran from different mosques because I want to see how good the hafiz is and see how good his manzil, his memorization is, because there are certain Quranic verses, certain ajza which are very difficult to memorize, and it's good to see that nowadays in mosque, even in Minhaj mosque in Forest Gate.
What's the positive is you've got working brothers who still have to conduct themselves in Ramadan, working, doing their stuff, and yet they're still coming in the evenings to focus and to live, to recite the Quran. It's amazing.
In London, we have 2 young lads that I've known for a long time, Imam Asim and Hafiz Asim and Hafiz Ahmed Raza, both who are accountants or who are in the field of finance, and they're not just ordinary professionals. They are kind of
very successful,
very successful.
Very tough jobs. It's not like these jobs that they're in.
And then in the evening they come down and have to do Taraweeh in front of some people in London. But it's again a rewarding thing. But again, just going back to the point that that was part of our studies as well. I did hadith, and then within hadith I specialized in usul hadith. So I was looking at not just, so you've got hadith, then you've got the sciences of hadith, how the hadith has come about, the concept of compilation of hadith, how non-Muslim looked at hadith. So Egypt was something that kind of gave me a very broad perspective of Islam, basically. I wouldn't say that I had a very narrow-minded view of Islam, but I think going into Egypt, probably the environment that we were in or the background that we had come from an Islamic perspective, it was quite narrow-minded in that sense. But Egypt, very broad. They were very open. There's a very moderate version of Al-Azhar, which again, Minhaj is very much affiliated to in the sense of its approach in terms of how, I wouldn't call it as a liberal organization or a liberal-led institution.
Center.
Yeah, more centrist, traditional, at the same time, something that combines modernity as well. So that was my kind of grooming in terms of my knowledge, whatever I had gained, whatever little I gained. And then once I left that, I came into the...
Before you go into that, and I'm going to let you think about that because we are going to go on a short break. And before we go on a break, now Brother Adnan Sohail has explained his journey to becoming that sheikh, that 8-9 years of studying and so on. Now we're going to find out after the break that when Brother Adnan Sohail came back from Al-Azhar, what was it that made him decide that Minhaj welfare is the way forward, or why couldn't you have taken the route and become the conventional Molvi? On that note, we will join you guys back after this short break. Stay tuned. This is ReviveFM 94.0. Assalamu alaikum.